So we are live with CBM Calling today, and we're so thrilled to be able to be talking with Tim and Kallie Hutton, who are in Cochabamba, Bolivia. And we were just chatting a little bit beforehand, and we were just, I was thinking, the lockdown measures here in Canada, some people are having a hard time with that. And that is nothing compared to what you guys are experiencing in Bolivia. So I'm wondering if you could just let everybody know what it's been like in Bolivia and the current situation there.
Yeah, they announced the first cases about 3 weeks ago, and it kind of came in incrementally, but the restrictions are pretty heavy. We can go out 1 day a week for 4 hours in the morning. It's according to your personal identity card and the number at the end. So I can go out on Tuesdays, and today was Kallie's day. She got to go out for her 4 hours of sunshine and shopping. If you're under 18 or over 65, you're not allowed out. No one is allowed out on Saturday or Sundays, and all transport is prohibited. So not only public vehicles, but also private vehicles, which means you have to haul all your weekly groceries on your back.
That's incredible. And I know, Kallie, you've been, and even on the days you guys have been able to go out for that short window of time, you've been trying to help some other people, like some elderly or people who can't have access to groceries or whatever, just trying to help out a little bit. But you must be tired after that, your morning stint of being out and dealing with all of those crowds and things like that. I'm just wondering also if you can tell us a bit about what's happening with all of our partners and what their current situation is, because you guys are very closely connected into a lot of the projects. So Prison Kids Project and Chagas and GRA and those projects that a lot of people would know. I'm wondering if you can just give us an update on the situation with those projects and what's happening with our partners.
Before these stricter regulations came in, they announced that schools would be closing. So all the vulnerable kids projects had to follow suit as well. But since these more highly restrictive measures have come in, really nothing can operate. Even going to the office is not realistic at this point. But the staff are still active. They care for the people in their program. So I know a few of them are running around trying to do what they can for people, buy a few groceries, and not with issues they're running into. So even though it's not business as usual, the ministry definitely hasn't stopped.
Mm-hmm. And the unique project that is still kind of going is ADA, which is the sewing project with mothers from Casa de la Amistad. And so when they started putting in these measures, we were kind of thinking it's going to get worse. So we went out, we had a work day where we cut everything for this order that we have from CBM and from the Atlantic Baptist Women, actually. And we sent all of the moms home with a sewing machine. And so now they're in quarantine, but they have work. So they're able to earn income while they're locked in their houses, keep themselves occupied. And then also we've got a WhatsApp group between all of us. And so the moms are encouraging one another and asking people sewing questions and stuff like that. So that group has been able to kind of continue on despite all of these restrictions.
Yeah, that's great planning on your behalf to think that, you could prepare all that in advance. So that's really fantastic to be able to keep it going through this time. Tim, I'm wondering, or either one of you actually, I'm wondering if you can update us on what's happened with the seminary.
Yeah, we have kind of been working with the seminary for a couple of years on helping them get more online. So I did their first ever fully online course back in 2018. Tim's been working with them to set up an online certificate program. And then also we've been working with the satellite seminaries, helping them do hybrid courses. And Tim's helped get the entire catalog for the library online and open access journals so that people can continue doing research, even if they can't get into the library physically. So we've kind of been preparing them. They weren't quite thinking that it was going to be this quick to move to an online thing, but they've completely moved online for this semester. So we're kind of helping them troubleshoot, helping people figure out the platforms. My course team this semester has fully moved online, and so far, so good.
Yeah, great. Again, good timing, right? You're already in preparation to help them move online, and we're kind of seeing the benefit of that now. We were the other day talking to Ali Haddad in Lebanon, and talking about how Arab Baptist Theological Seminary also did something similar, where they were already doing distance education, and now we're seeing the benefit that they're able to continue doing that. So that's really fantastic that you were helping them to do that beforehand. I'm just wondering about, I'd heard that there's some kind of relief effort that's happening that you guys have helped to start with some of the local churches. I'm wondering if you can just give more information about that.
Yeah, so when things started to progress more in Bolivia, I got together with a group of churches just to see and explore what we could potentially do. At the time, I wasn't sure that it was going to get more severe. We were still able to meet face to face. We just talked about how could the churches respond. And basically what they came up with is that rather than through one church, they would get a network of churches in the southern part of Cochabamba, which is by far the most needy region, and empower the churches to select the most vulnerable in their neighborhoods or communities. So they were in charge to kind of follow some criteria, identify families, and submit them to a committee who would put it together, and we were able to put in a proposal to CBM for a little bit of assistance. And the idea is that they'll provide food baskets to these families. Transport's always a challenge, but they're working through things where they can get large purchases brought to one specific church. A team will assemble packages, distribute them to these 27 churches we're working with, and the churches are in charge of getting the materials and the food out to these families. First, I wasn't sure how this whole transport part was going to go, but through a few connections, it looks like we might have a military escort to make it happen.
Oh.
It's kind of fun on that end. And we're working too closely with a lot of young people, 20-somethings, who are out of university or out of work and want to do something. And it's been awesome working with this group who take initiative, tackle all the small details, and see things that I would miss. They're already putting together a health and safety kind of program to make sure that everybody knows how to interact with each other and the recipients, and that they handle it professionally. And they've got a lot of other ideas to make it go smoothly. So it's been encouraging to see this come together. Another initiative's happening in the western part of the country as well, in a city there. There's another network of churches that want to do something, and so something similar is coming together at this time. But it's a unique time.
Yeah, and one of the things that's kind of been a recurring theme is just how we've seen the church being the church, even though church looks completely different than what normally we would think of as church. How the church all over the world is still able to continue reaching out, especially to the most vulnerable people. I'm wondering, because we recently have been reading about what's happening with migrant workers in India, and kind of at the risk of starvation, they're trying to go home. And they earn day wages. And so without work, they're really at, great risk of starving. I'm wondering if you're seeing any of that with like some of the more vulnerable groups of people. I mean, even in your own city, or even with some of the churches that you're working with, like some of their people, I'm wondering if you're hearing about anything like that. Are people really being put at risk because not being able to work?
So many people live day to day, right? And so they depend on what they earn that day to provide for their families. And so not just missing one, but multiple days of work really puts people in a difficult situation where they have to scramble. Other people, I wouldn't say that they are coronavirus deniers, but they're going, the two realities of should I stay at home or not work? It's difficult to make that decision and to kind of go along with the government at this time, which is an interim government. So people have a little bit of resentment and tension for certain groups here. And there's been some conflicts between police or military and people in the streets, just mildly, but it's hard to go through this process right now, which may be very necessary, but it doesn't make the challenges any less easy for families.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I'm wondering if you can just tell us, like, how are some ways we can support the work that you're doing? How can we support you guys personally? What are ways we can be praying for you? I know there's probably a lot of your supporters who are going to watch this and are praying for you, but I'm just wondering if you can help name some specific things that we can do to keep supporting you through this time.
You can always continue or start giving to the projects and the funding for Bolivia. It's, I think, a difficult time for everyone, but we hope and pray that people will continue to be generous and want to give to support the relief efforts that are going on here, but also just the regular programming, because we're always working with people who are vulnerable in different ways. In terms of prayer, pray that this relief effort will go smoothly. As was kind of explained, there's a lot of different moving parts, a lot of different people that we're having to coordinate with, communicate, a lot of different things that have to fall into place. And so just pray that all those things will come together, and that we'll be able to get help to these families. Another thing that's been weighing heavy on us is just knowing that people are, there's lots of women who are locked inside with abusers during this quarantine. Bolivia suffers hugely from violence against women. About 75% of women here suffer violence. And during one of the government addresses, they even talked about the alarming increase in cases of domestic violence during the quarantine. So we know that that is a reality for a lot of the people that we work with and a lot of the people in this country. So pray for that. And personally for us, we've got a lot of different plates spinning, trying to coordinate with different people, to check up on people, see if they're doing okay, organize for people to get the support that they need, communicating with our churches and supporters in Canada and with the office. And so just pray for us that we'll be able to have the strength and, calmness required to get what we need to do done.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique time with its challenges, but it's exciting to be in between the Canadian and Bolivian churches and see that the partnership happening there, where beneficiaries from these relief efforts definitely won't know who CBM is. They likely won't know the national partner, but they'll certainly know the local church who's knocking at their door and providing what care they can. So it feels great to be a part of what's happening in Bolivia and in Canada as well.
Well, that's one of the messages we keep reinforcing to people in this time. Let's not forget the most vulnerable people in our world. And whatever we're all going through, those people are also experiencing that loss as well of whatever income they have. So we have to do our very best to continue supporting. So thank you for that reminder. So just want to say thank you to you both for all that you're doing. And I know it's so restricted what you're doing. I think a lot of our hearts go out to you that you can't go outside for a walk even, on most days, like most of us here in Canada still do. But you guys are holding up, and you seem to be holding up really well. And we're thankful to be your colleagues. And we're grateful to be able to support you in any way that we can. So thank you so much for joining us on the call today. And I'm sure there's lots of people watching that will be supporting you guys in prayer. And hopefully send a little note of encouragement to Tim and Kallie. I don't know if I should say that. Maybe you'll be inundated with emails now, but there is a little button on their page on the CBM website, cbmn.org, and you can send them a little note of encouragement and email today. So hopefully you're looking for, you want those emails. I don't know. I just opened that up for everyone. But, all right. Thanks so much and take care.